Hey everyone, it's Sabrina.
And I'm Staci.
And we are
Homeschooled by Two Chicks.
This podcast is brought to you by Vitali Inspection Services.
In our podcast, we are going to be educating and entertaining our listeners with topics such as
local businesses, real estate agents. We'll be discussing topics such as charities and the charity that was founded by Carlo Vitali, as well as talking to our inspectors and the gadgets that they use.
Do you hear that? It's Inspector Vitali and his crew. It must be time for another home inspection. I'm sure they'll check your chimney too. Look at oil tanks and radon levels. Gotta check sewer lines are clear. Termites and pesky bugs, beware. Inspector Vitali and his crew will be there.
Hey everyone, it's Sabrina
and Staci,
and we are
Homeschooled by Two Chicks.
Today we are here with Austin Hintze. He is from Wolfpack. And Austin, could you explain a little bit about what Wolfpack is, what kind of tool, and how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. First, thank you both for having me on the podcast. I'm excited to join. I know you've been telling me about this for the past couple of months, and it seems like it's been going great from what I've heard and what I've seen so far. And I'm excited to see you guys continue to grow this and continue to educate people, right? At the end of the day, it's all about providing education and resources to help others in their businesses too. So thank you again for having me on.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to see if you're going to pop up some questions at me that I'm not prepared for, like any game show type of deal. But anyway, so getting into Wolfpack. So Wolfpack is a company that I started with a friend, Aaron. And we started the company about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago in the inspection industry as our main focus, because I actually am a part owner in a home inspection company in Tampa, Florida. And we're a multi-inspector firm. So my dad started the company back in 2005. It was just him until 2013. Then my uncle joined as our next full-time inspector. I joined in 2014 to do marketing. And then today we have about 21 employees in our company and continuing to grow. Now, doing marketing back then was focused on visiting real estate offices and, scheduling presentations, giving presentations, teaching classes, attending events. COVID kind of threw all of that for a spin because offices were shut down, right? We couldn't go out and visit realtors and give presentations. And so we had to do more of a shift towards digital. And what we realized was there was a gap in what we had in place as a company and in the industry as a whole to help us in these efforts to make sure that we were staying on top of our relationship with both real estate agents and other referral partners, as well as our clients. And that's where we decided that because we didn't see a good solution out there at the moment, we were going to start Wolfpack, and we were going to take what we've learned in our own business and implement that in a way that we can then help other companies too. So when we talk about Wolfpack, I know, what we've talked about most is the marketing automation. And that's to really help inspection companies stay on top of, let's say, a brand new real estate agent, right, who just did their first inspection, to make sure that agent feels welcome and they feel like they're part of that company's sphere now, and getting them to continue to build that relationship and those referrals. And then, agents who stop working with a company, to make sure the company knows that as soon as that happens. That way, it's not like, hey, we haven't heard from this agent in a while. What happened? It's no, we know that we haven't worked with this agent in 60 days or 90 days. It's time for us to reach out and see if we can, reestablish that relationship. So that's one part of the services that we offer. Some others that we do are web design, SEO, search engine optimization, pay-per-click, so like Google ads, Facebook ads, Yelp ads, Bing ads, all of those. Basically the full suite of services for home inspection companies to help them with their digital marketing and making sure that they're growing their companies as they continue to scale.
Real estate agents use it for their clients?
So I think from our perspective, right now, we aren't focusing on real estate agents, but that's not to say it can't be done. I mean, there are, as I'm sure you both know, there are a ton of companies out there that offer digital marketing, right? Websites, SEO, pay-per-click, marketing automation, and all of those apply to real estate agents as well. I mean, real estate agents, you have to always be prospecting, right? You have to always be getting more leads coming in and finding people that need to buy or sell a house. And having a good presence online is a huge piece of that, especially with COVID. So making sure you have a good professional website that's not just going to look good, but it's also going to drive people to the action you want them to take, which for a real estate agent, my guess would be for them to reach out to you, right? And find out more about your services and how you can best serve them as an agent. For the marketing automation, staying on top of your current and your past clients to continuously check in with them and see how are things going in their new home. Maybe a year after they moved inside that house, you get a notification to send them a gift, right? Saying, hey, it's been a year in your new home. Just want to make sure everything's going okay, and continue to build that relationship to get referrals. So yeah, all of this stuff can be applicable to real estate agents and actually any business when we're talking about growing your business online.
I was just going to ask you that. Are there any specific businesses that either you work with already other than home inspection, or that you've, discussed with other businesses that are trying to grow, that are interested in Wolfpack as a tool and, how to grow their business?
Yeah, so outside of just home inspection, we are starting to gain some traction with pest control companies. And I mean, that's just a natural transition, right? Because we know a lot of home inspectors out there also have a pest side of their business. We do envision it growing outside of that and focusing on a general home services market. So that could include electricians, plumbers, HVAC, could include real estate agents at some point. But as I mentioned, still being a newer company, being around for about a year and a half, we're still gaining our foothold in the inspection industry, learning a lot as we go about that, gaining connections in other places that we can then continue to grow from.
That's awesome. I definitely noticed that. And because we use Wolfpack and we love the program and how it works, and really once we've gotten used to it and creating marketing campaigns and things like that, that can reach either smaller groups of people when we need to, or larger groups of people when we need to. There's the potential for so many businesses to be able to market themselves through a system like that. I know for the home inspection industry, we get a lot of, we have support groups that we're a part of, and a lot of people talk about integrating Wolfpack with their main, system. Mm-hmm. And we use it in conjunction with ISN. Mm-hmm. So is there a certain kind of system that you work better with, or you're not compatible with?
It's a tough question to answer, just because we have been so focused on the big tools in the industry, which, as you mentioned, ISN is the one that most companies work with. And for those of you that are listening to this podcast that aren't home inspectors and don't necessarily know the terms that we're throwing out as far as our systems go, just know that because the home inspection industry is still considered young and it's fragmented, we don't have a lot of the developed tools that other industries have. I know real estate agents have a lot of powerful tools at their disposal that are an all-in-one for everything they could need. Yes. Home inspection companies, we kind of have to take a little bit here, take a little bit there, and then figure out how can we get everything to work together, just because there really hasn't been a focus on developing software in our industry. So I know there are some bigger systems out there as well, in addition to ISN, as far as scheduling goes. I tell everyone who comes to me asking about those, I'm 99% sure we can do it. I just haven't found a company yet that wants to be the guinea pig who's using one of those systems so that we can see and make sure that it works. But at the end of the day, there's so many tools out there, like Zapier, for example. Zapier is one that I think a lot more people are gaining knowledge about. And Zapier is really cool because it does help you link up different systems that don't normally talk to each other, so you can make them work hand in hand. To give you a good example of how we use that within our inspection company is we use Slack as our primary place for team communication. And we also use Google, right? We have a Google business page. I think most companies do these days. And those of you who are listening to this podcast, if you don't, you absolutely should have a Google business profile, because that's where a lot of people are going to find you. But every time we get a positive review on Google, we used to have to manually copy that review and then paste it in Slack for our team to see it. But with Zapier, we were actually able to set up an automated process that said every time we get a 4 or 5-star review on Google that has a comment, automatically post that in our team Slack channel so that the inspectors can see the positive feedback. So we're no longer having to manually transfer that information back and forth. Zapier has been able to help us link those two systems together. So my recommendation on that is, if you're using different platforms and you want to see, can they work together in a more automated fashion? Zapier has a really cool tool that you can explore, where you can basically choose one system and then choose the one you want to connect it with, and it'll show you all the possibilities for integration that it can achieve between those two.
It sounds so complicated when you're trying to explain it, but then once you really put the programs together and they talk to each other, it's really cool how they can, really help to drive the business and get everything organized the way you really need to make sure you can grow your business and stay on top of all the different things that entails growing any kind of business, whether it's home inspection or, like you said, pest control, or I'm sure it could be anything, even charities, like
Exactly.
things like that, right?
Yeah, and it can save you so much time. And I think as a business owner, especially if you're a small business owner, your time's limited. And so you have to make sure that you're doing things that'll help you maximize the time that you have to grow your business and to make it run efficiently. So looking at the tools that are out there, yes, it may not be taking you a ton of time right now to copy and paste your Google reviews over, but the sooner you can get a tool in place to help you with tasks like that, the better it's going to be as you grow, so that you're not scrambling now to try and get things in place that you should have scaled when you were still a smaller company.
Yeah, I definitely love the idea that we can come in every morning, look at our Wolfpack. It's the first thing we do. Go to Wolfpack. We get our tasks done. If we have to do any kind of, contacting or whatever, and we actually use Elevate. We just do a lot of our calls and texting right through Elevate, and we just find our profile of the person that we need to contact for whatever reason. If it's an agent that hasn't used us in a while, or someone that just had their 13th inspection, whether we're calling to congratulate or we're just checking in to say, hey, haven't heard from you, want to make sure your information is up to date, because sometimes that's what happens. Agencies move and things are not up to date. So it's a great way for us to stay on top of making sure we are in touch with our clients at all times. And we get a lot of great feedback about that. Like, thank you for just, touching base with us and not just trying to make it about a sales call. So I think that really helps to build a lot of relationships for any business. So thank you for, teaching us the ways of Wolfpack. We've definitely been getting much more involved and comfortable with that. So I think that's been really helpful, really useful. And we love looking at the reports too, like seeing what kind of things are going on and the analytics of all the different variables. So it's really great.
Yeah. And I love the point. I just want to highlight real quick. I love the point that you made of, we have a system in place that you're using that helps automate stuff, right? But you're still doing the personalized touch points of calling an agent. And that's something I think is important to put out there. Is some people think that when you're talking about digital, whether it's marketing automation or pay-per-click or SEO, you're just going to flip a switch and everything's going to happen and you don't have to do anything after that, right? Which, yeah, I mean, I guess with marketing automation, you could just have only emails that are going out and that's it, which may work to an extent, but you still want to make sure you're putting some of the personal touch in there, because that goes above and beyond and shows that you care about building that relationship. And I think there's also some ways that you can go about it that still doesn't take up as much time. To give you an example, there's a system out there called Handwritten, and it's spelled HANDWRYTTEN. So Handwritten. And the way that program works is it actually takes away the time from handwriting personalized thank you cards. So they use robotic arms that are holding pens, and those robotic arms are actually writing on the card, so that when your recipient gets it in the mail, if they run their finger across it, it's actually going to smear because it's ink on paper and it looks like legit handwriting. So once again, I'm going to come back to Zapier, because Zapier makes dreams happen. Let's just put it that way. You can link the marketing automation to Handwritten through Zapier that says, let's use a real estate agent and their client, for example. When it's been a year since that client has moved into the home, automatically place an order with Handwritten to send them a personalized card in the mail. Now, the thing is about that, yes, on the one hand, you may say, okay, well, I could have just taken the time to handwrite that card out myself, which, yeah, I guess you could say that you could have. But as you're growing your business and as you need to make sure you're spending your time efficiently and putting systems in place to help you out, it's still a personalized card for that client that you still set something up that's going to make it that personalized experience. But you're not having to sit down every week and manually write out cards for 5 to 10 hours to all of your past clients. That can be taken care of by a system. And then if you want to add in the personal touch, call that client the next week and just say, hey, did you get my card in mail? Right. And then you can add in that personalized touch with them.
I think that's really key for especially the top agents. They're doing so much business. They don't have the time to sit down and do things like that. So, or anybody that's really growing a business and running around. We know, like, I know Carlo does not have time to sit down and write out cards. So, that's a really cool function. Actually, that sounds like something very interesting. Is it only through Zapier that you can link that, or is that?
So You can do it directly through handwritten, but Zapier is where you can link it to other platforms. So if we're talking about like the marketing automation, it would start there, and then it would send information to Zapier to say, hey, we need to get a card sent to this agent. And then Zapier would send it to handwritten, and that's where it would actually place the order automatically.
So where does Wolfpack come into that mix, or do you?
So that's where it would start, right? So it would start in our system recognizing that, let's say an agent hit a milestone. And then once it recognizes that, that's when it then sends the information to Zapier and then sends it to handwritten.
Cool. Yep. That's awesome. We'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more offline.
Yeah. We know that you recently made a big move from Florida to North Carolina, right?
I did. Yeah, I moved to Raleigh about a week and a half ago.
A lot going on. And are you moving the office location, or is that staying in Florida?
No, so everything's going to stay in Florida as far as operations go. You know, as we continue to grow the company, there's just so much opportunity out there right now. And I don't know if the market's the same in your area, but here, and I say here, I'm sitting in Vegas, and so not here, although maybe it is here as well. Hey, listen, I'm here for a conference, so I'm just like going from the hotel room to a conference room, back to the hotel room, and that's pretty much it for a week. But back in Tampa, I mean, the market is continuing to just grow in a crazy way. And it's happening in Tampa, it's happening in Orlando, in Miami, everywhere in Florida right now is just exponentially growing. And so there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for us to grow the inspection company basically where we're already established. My move to Raleigh was more of a personal one. I've spent my entire life in Florida, and I've said for a while now that the heat and humidity is too much for me. And with COVID, we've had a ton of people, I think even a lot of people from like New Jersey, New York area have moved down to Florida, especially those companies that let them work remote and then said that was going to be the permanent policy. People are saying, well, now I can move to Florida where it's less expensive. So traffic has gotten terrible, and just everything combined, I figured it was a good time to make that dream a reality of trying to live somewhere else, somewhere that's a little bit colder, closer to the mountains, so easier to escape for a weekend. And even in Raleigh, though, the market is in a place right now that we are considering what it would take to expand the company into that area too.
Yeah, we're experiencing the same thing here in New Jersey. And to be honest with you, we have all the transplants coming in from New York City from COVID, because so much got shut down. So many business buildings were just closed and everybody working remote. And they were like, oh, well, and with the market, they're making all kinds of money on their condos and whatever in Manhattan. So they came to North Jersey and down to central New Jersey, which is where we are. Same thing with the traffic and then the craziness with the market. But, you know, for home inspections, that's big. That's huge. Yeah. We've been nonstop and just booked out weeks in advance, you know, and I'm sure you understand that. So it's, you know, just a challenge. But building the business, which is a great thing, you can't complain about that, but trying to keep up with it is it's incredible. Yeah. So, you know, obviously having the right tools to use in order to do that is important. So Wolfpack has definitely been very useful for us in that respect. So you ready to just tell anybody if you have anything special that you want to close with as far as Wolfpack goes?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have what we're calling our Wolfpack Virtual Summit coming up at the end of October. So if you go to our website, wolfpackadvising.com, you can get some more information about that. But it's going to be a 2-day virtual summit that we're going to have classes. I'll be teaching on marketing automation. So I'll be teaching about email deliverability. So making sure that your emails are set up to reach the inbox and not the spam filter. Nice. I'm going to talk about how to make sure you're sending the right content to the right audience. So as you mentioned, Sabrina, you know, targeting your emails to specific groups, right? So not just sending a shotgun campaign out there, but getting more specific to say, for this group of people, we want this type of content to make sure it resonates with them. I know Erin's going to be teaching some classes on SEO and actually training a little bit on how you can do some SEO yourself without having to hire a company. I know that we're also going to do some training on ISN and how to optimize your ISN. So for the inspection companies listening, that's going to be specific to you. And then we also have some other people who are going to be speaking as well. So Dominic with Home Inspector Pro is going to be joining us. I know Erin with Guardian Financial is going to be joining us. I know we have a couple of other sponsors as well. So it's going to be 2 days packed with content that is going to be both us teaching classes. So I mentioned, obviously, we offer these services as a company, but we also just want to provide education out there for those who want to learn more or want to do it themselves. Like, totally, I 100% support that, right? Like, if you're the kind of person like me who wants to dive in and figure out how to get it done, we want to provide you with the resources necessary so you can start down that path. So that would be the big thing I would put a plug in for, is just go to our website, wolfpackadvising.com, and then look up information about that virtual summit.
When is the summit?
So I knew you were going to ask me that. I should have had my calendar pulled up.
I mean, I know I can look on the website, no problem, but I'm just interested because I'd love for our listeners to know what's going on too.
Yeah. So it's going to be October 22nd and 23rd. So that's a Friday and a Saturday. And I know on our website, we have the agenda posted as well. So you can see on both days what time it starts and ends and classes that are going to be going on throughout the day.
And is that an in-person summit?
No, it's going to be all virtual. So we're
virtual.
going to do it all virtual. The nice thing that we're going to do about it with it too, though, is we're going to record all of the classes that we're teaching. That way, if let's say like you want to be able to attend everything, but you can only show up to one specific class, we're still going to have the recordings available for the rest of them too.
I love that. I'm so glad you told us about that. I'm sure that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to hop on the bandwagon for. So thank you for that, Austin. Thank you so much for your time. You're a busy, busy guy. And just thank you for all the help and support that you've given us here at Vitality Inspection Services. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks, Austin.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for having me on. And I'm excited to see where this podcast continues to grow.
Don't forget, keep watching it and subscribe. And
all right, have a good day.
Rest of your conference. Take care.
Thanks. All right. Bye-bye.
Life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful.